102 2nd Street was built in 1845 as a two-family home and originally owned by Charles C. Trafton. In 1872, it was purchased by Andrew Borden, who converted it to a one-family house, where he lived with his daughters Emma and Lizzie and their stepmother Abby.
The Borden family lived far below their means. At that time, even people of middle-class standards would have had running water in their house rather than a pump in a sink room. They certainly could have had electricity or gaslight. They had kerosene lamps.
And Lizzie, almost all of her life, was very envious of the richer Bordens who lived up on the hill.
Her life was not that easy, not from the things you hear about her father, but I think it was somewhat of a miser, and of course that was one of the difficulties in that family.
That is, Andrew Borden's decision to live where he did and the lifestyle that he did affected his daughter's future. She's in a neighborhood where there are single men, but I doubt very much whether she would have accepted any of them.
Mrs. Borden made a statement that she thought perhaps the baker's bread had been poisoned and she was not well. She called across the street to Dr. Seabury Bowen. Now, the night before the murders, Lizzie did visit Alice Russell.
She said that she was afraid that her father had an enemy who had poisoned their milk. She said there was a man seen hanging around the house and that the barn and house had been broken into in broad daylight. She said she had to sleep with one eye open half of the time and that she was afraid that the house would be burned down over their heads. Alice Russell, 1893.
After breakfast, John Morris went to visit relatives on the other side of town, and Mr. Borden left to attend to business at his bank. Abby Borden instructed the maid, Bridget Sullivan, to wash the first-floor windows outside and in. Then she went up the front stairs to make the bed in the guest bedroom, but no one saw her alive again.
18 blows to the head from a sharp instrument were the cause of death.
11 o'clock, Andrew Borden arrived home earlier than usual from the bank, and he took the back stairs to briefly go up to his bedroom. A few minutes later, he returned to the sitting room and stretched out on the sofa to take a nap before lunch.
Someone struck Andrew Borden 10 times in the head with a sharp instrument.
I finished my windows, then I went upstairs to my room. I laid down on the bed. I heard the City Hall bell ring and it was 11 o'clock. The next thing was that Miss Lizzie hollered, "Come down, quick! Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." Bridget Sullivan, 1892.
I was surprised at the way Miss Lizzie carried herself, and I must say that I admire her nerve. She did not appear to be in the least bit excited or worried. I have wondered why she did not faint upon her discovery of the dead body of her father. Most women would have done so, for a more horrible sight I never saw, and I have walked over a battlefield where thousands lay mangled and dead. Investigating Officer, Fall River Police, 1892.
The house was searched. Police could find no signs of forced entry or robbery. The brutal nature of the killings convinced them that these were not conventional homicides. The police asked Lizzie if she knew anyone who might have killed her mother and father. "She is not my mother, sir," Lizzie responded. "She is my stepmother. My mother died when I was a child." Lizzie Borden was arrested and charged with the crime. Rumors, gossip, and arguments over her guilt or innocence swept across the city of Fall River.
Of course, at that time, it would have made sense to most New Englanders, to these old Yankees, that the only person who could do something like this would have to be one of two things: a maniacal person, a madman, or an immigrant.
Using the money she inherited from her father, Lizzie purchased a luxurious home with maids and a chauffeur. But she was shunned by most of society.
Of course, only she knew, and whether or not she did it, the secret went to her grave. So there's no one left to defend Lizzie Borden.